want you to pause and look at what you're wearing. And I want you to wonder where your clothes were made. Most likely, your clothes are made overseas in places like this. These are sweatshops, found in the poorest of poorest nations, and they are where most clothes are manufactured. What exactly is a sweatshop? Sweatshops are officially defined as tiny manufacturing establishments that employ workers under unfair and unhygienic working conditions. Now, what does this mean? It means that sweatshops are factory jobs that have low pay and ridiculous hours. Sweatshops in most countries are actually seen as better jobs than others, such as scavenging through waste dumps. Sweatshops are used as a way to exploit their workers due to their impoverished conditions. In some instances, these workers are so desperate for a job, managers will take a month of their salary away in return for a job. These people have nowhere else to turn and are most likely hurting for work and any sort of income to get by. This allows managers to get away with verbal abuse and sometimes physical abuse on their workers. Now, a question you may have is, who are exactly working in these sweatshops? Women and children are the main workers in these factories. These women and children are working an average schedule of 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now let's look at sweatshops through a Catholic lens. A business's goals should be to create common goods of society, create wealth for society, and not just the owners, noted John Paul II. But sweatshops do not create wealth for its workers. In fact, it's the opposite. For example, in Bangladesh, the average sweatshop worker makes 33 cents an hour, 1 quarter, 1 nickel, and 3 pennies. The average hourly wage in Bangladesh is $1.37 USD, meaning these people are making well under the average hourly wage in Bangladesh. This means that sweatshops cannot be a moral business practice. They are unable to provide financial stability for its employees, meaning it is just a means for profit and to create wealth for only the owners and not for its workers. Greed and profit. That is what these sweatshops are after. The Catholic Church also notes the struggles of young people in the workplace and how they get too raveled in their own careers and businesses that they aren't able to enjoy life itself. This is called slave labor. And this occurs when people are at the service of their work, when work should provide a service for the people. Vocation of Business by Pope Francis. Sweatshops have also been commonly cited as being harmful and inhumane working conditions. First-hand witnesses are able to attest that scolding and sometimes beating frontline workers helps drive isolated Chinese workers to kill themselves. A combination of cruel environments as well as grueling work enslave these people, not only financially but mentally as well, leading people with nowhere else to turn but suicide. Such conditions are inhumane and no one should be subjected to such abusive work. These people are at the service of their work. Some people have argued for sweatshops in saying that many of these people are glad that they have a job and that there are worse jobs out there. They would call a sweatshop job a dream. just because there are worse jobs out there, and a sweatshop job appears more appealing than other jobs, does not make a sweatshop job morally okay. Sweatshop jobs require a lot from its workers, and in return give very little. It is very comparable to a modern version of slavery, as these people are completely subject to their jobs and receive little to no financial stability from these jobs. So just because for them they may think of it better as other jobs, it does not make it a dream. It does not make it a problem that we can ignore. Another argument for sweatshops is that they do a service to the impoverished in these countries, and by promoting more factory and manufacturing jobs, it can only help give better opportunities to people in these countries, and so we should encourage businesses to provide jobs in these places. It is important to note that these manufacturing and factory jobs are not what the church is against. It is the way these businesses are run and managed that is the issue. By having workers work unreasonable hours and make below average pay is what allows businesses to put profit above people and create wealth only for the business and its owners and not for its workers. People are at the service of their work when work should provide a service for the people. That is what Pope Francis said about business practices. And by having these people work the way they do in sweatshops, they are at the service of their work when their work provides no service to them.
How can we, as a community at SLU, make a difference in the fight against sweatshops? As a SLU student, you can try not to buy from big brand products such as Nike, which is known for having sweatshops, and also ordering from big companies such as Amazon, who also underpays their workers. Also, SLU students or students in general can stray away from buying products from off-brand websites such as Panda Buy, which is a sweatshop that sells fake designer clothes for a cheap price.